It's your girl Bevy back with another video. So, this time we are going to discuss these phony relationship gurus and how you should not be listening to them. So, we're going to start off with, and just so you know, I'm not going to say specific names, but you're going to know who I'm talking about. So, this individual has only really said disparaging remarks in regards to women. I don't really understand why any women were listening to him because it really seemed like he was not a fan. um, and we'll call him Skittles. Yes. So, that individual has passed, and people are still, for some reason, talking about him and his shenanigans. He really was not a leader of anything of value. He had only negative things to say. I don't support people I dislike, so I never actually saw content that I sought out. I only know what I know because individuals who I do like and follow would bring up those topics or show little clips or whatever. But beyond that, I've never seen this person with that intention. I had no desire to see that. Um, you know, there were no lessons for women to learn from this individual. First of all, in my opinion, women should listen to women and men should perhaps listen to men. Men can listen to some women too. The reason why I say this is because men tend to have motives, for why they say what they say to a woman. And what they say to those women would, of course, not be what they would say to men. And, this particular person I felt like was in competition with women for men. So, not sure why you think that's better than listening to, a woman. But what I will say is, I'm going to say later more about who I feel like you should listen to. Instead, I try to offer up solutions and not just talk about problems. So, yeah, that individual is no longer of this earth, yet people continue to bring up what he was saying and doing and showing clips. He couldn't even take care of himself or his health. Yet here folks were listening to him. He had no wife. They had to, try to chase down a relative when he passed. He didn't have someone for them to call to come get him, and there was no one by his side to assist him. After all that talking about relationships, clearly you can't maintain a relationship that's long term, yet you think you know enough information to tell single people what they should or shouldn't be doing. It's very weird and hypocritical to me when I see things like that. But the answer is not necessarily to listen to people who are in relationships or marriages either. You have to look deeply. The next example I have is of this phony married guy who everyone's talking about right now. You know who he is. He's divorcing his long-suffering, poor, disturbed wife. That's her payment. That's her benefit for sticking beside a cheater and a liar and someone who, clearly didn't love or value her at all. And at every opportunity has been disloyal. And, her reward is for him to now leave her so he can go chase down thoughts, who really don't want him for anything other than, utilizing his name and whatever platform he still has left, I guess. So, we're going to call that individual Eric and Deja Wax. That's the best I'm gonna give you, but you know who I'm talking about. And those, their terrible situations. They was running around to, putting all these pictures up of the, fake smiles, and then he, I guess, made a book at one point, and he would men weren't a fan of him because he would talk down in regards to men, and he would say, oh, this is the type of man you need. You shouldn't deal with a man who doesn't do blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, he's the same type of man he was telling women to avoid. So that goes right back to what I said about how women need to really be careful who they're listening to. And that the answer is not to listen to the opposite sex. These men have motives. He was over here trying to find his future girlfriend, all while still being married. And, trying to tell these women they need to leave their man and basically be with him. That's what all I hear from that situation. This is another person I have not watched, but I have seen enough information from some people I do like. And it's told me all I need to know about that situation, based off of how that woman looks. And, I don't want to disrespect someone who's hurting, who's heartbroken, and has been through trauma, but she's wearing her trauma physically. She looks very, not put together the vast majority of the time. She doesn't make an effort. And I think she doesn't make an effort because she may have, some real issues. When people are depressed, they don't necessarily feel like getting out of bed and, trying to look their best, or feel their best and look her best for what? It don't matter what she does. This guy's going to cheat on her. So, I understand that. But at the same time, she's over here cussing people out, talking about, trying to put curses on people in the name of Jesus because they were talking about her marriage. But the truth is that your marriage was trash, and you and him were over here trying to pretend that you had something different for money. And now, after all your loyalty that you wasted on this buffoon, you're now going to be a single mother, and I guess be more along the lines of the woman he's trying to tell to be with better men, but the better man is not him. So, it's really embarrassing. And like I said, I feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for him. He knew he was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he was manipulating and tricking and playing games with these women who are his fans, So it's unfortunate, but that's yet another example of why you should not be, following these self-proclaimed gurus, for relationships who really have zero qualifications to talk about what they're talking about. And another example I can give is this couple who recently they were fighting like cats and dogs. The wife put out this crazy video saying the man, messed up one of her phalanges during a fight. The daughter came out saying he beats the mess out of her. The ex-wife said the same thing, that that's what he does to the women in his life. He puts his hands on everybody. And he was totally unapologetic, like, to the wife. And it was like, I felt again embarrassed for her because he can't even apologize. And this is who you married. I said this in another video. If you're dealing with someone who can never apologize or take accountability for their wrongdoing, you got to get out of there. That's really all the information you need, because he was completely wrong with whatever happened in that fight. And I understand him not wanting to confess to a crime that indeed did occur. These are her claims, but he didn't take accountability for any of their problems. And I heard a recording of the way he speaks to this woman behind the scenes. He called her out her name. He cussed her out, told her, she could get out the car and walk or whatever. He gonna pull over to the side of the road and leave her wherever she's at. And it sounded like they were supposed to be going and having a date night, according to what her sister said. And, because the sister was watching the kids and she said, oh, they don't really spend time together. So I was trying to help them spend time together. And what happened? First thing they do is get into an altercation, and he's talking to her like she's a dog. Sorry, but that's not the relationship that I want. Why should I listen to either of you? And then she put out some weird video after that talking about how she wasn't really looking to date anyone. She wanted to date herself. And then next thing you know, she's in some video feeding him cake. Are y'all Ike and Tina from back in the day? Like, that's not a cute relationship. That's not healthy. That's not attractive. Who are you, again, to tell anybody what type of relationship they should be in or look for? And I'm also very tired of these people talking on behalf of Jesus Christ. He didn't say anything in the Bible about, you know, putting up with abuse in your relationships, putting up with cheating. In fact, in the Bible, it says if you know, there's a couple of there's only a few reasons why it would be acceptable to part ways, and mainly it's cheating. And these dudes who are doing all this stuff, putting their hands on the women, being very aggressive, having a bad attitude with their women, are over here cheating too. So what are you holding on to? You are holding on to dust. You have nothing. You have nothing. That's not a good relationship. So, but yet you want to run around here and try to market yourself to get some money. So you put on a facade instead of actually working on your relationship. It makes no sense, but this is what continues to happen, and people continue to listen to. And I'm tired of it. I don't know if you are, but I know I am. And I think that the answer is to stop listening to these phonies overall. So here are some ideas that you should take into consideration before you start listening to advice from certain parties. For starters, you have to think about what is the motivation of the advice giver. Is their motivation to really help you, or is it to help themselves? Like, are they telling you something because they're trying to influence you to do what they want you to do, or are they giving you advice because they want you to do what's best for you? For example, you're listening to an Eric Wax type and he's not a relative. He's not a professional. He's a man. And therefore, he's giving you some advice, telling you to walk away from a relationship that might not even be that bad, that where it might be a relationship where the two of you can work things out. But he's saying those things because he wants you to be available to be with him, but you're not thinking about that. You're thinking, oh, he's my friend. I've known him for this many years, and or he has a girlfriend, he's married, he's not interested in me. You don't know that. You don't know what is on that man's mind. But if he's not your father, brother, cousin, if he's not some type of a blood relative, and if he's not a therapist, a counselor with years of education and certifications and all of these things that you can verify are real, and he knows what he's talking about, why are you listening to him? You really think he's going to give you advice that's beneficial to you? No, there's something in it for him. So, already question that. And did you even ask him for advice, or is he just off the top telling you what he thinks you should do? Because people do that all the time too. You may be talking about something, not looking for a solution, but you just want to vent. And here they come with something you didn't ask them for. So consider your source, in their motivation. The next thing you need to ask yourself about is, do you know the actual truth about their lives? Do you know, how well do you really know this person and their life? Because you could be asking someone who maybe is your sister and she's been married for 5 years or whatever. That does not necessarily make her an expert on relationships. How was her relationship situation before she even got married? Was she in any other committed relationships? Did she date anybody beforehand? Ask these kinds of questions to people, especially if they're not, related to you, you don't already know the answer. Because if you already know the answer to this, then you may already be speaking to the wrong source. But if you don't know the answer, ask the question. Oh, okay, sir, so you have advice for me. How long have you been married? When's the last time you cheated? And go from there based off of the responses you get. Okay, you're not married. Well, when were you married before? You're divorced. Okay, how many times have you been divorced? Okay, how long were those relationships? What led to the breakups? You won't have to do this interview before you could tell me anything. You need to let me interview you before you start telling me about what I should do about anything. And I'm someone who's always sought out for advice. I give good advice because my advice is unbiased. And, I'm very diplomatic and I'm very careful what I say, because I always want that person who I'm talking to know that at the end of the day, the decision is on you. This is your journey, honey. You have to live your life. So you don't have to listen to what I'm telling you. I'm just giving you my perspective, but at the end of the day, the decision is on you. And, I'm not going to judge you one way or another. So, but with all of that being said, you have every right to inquire about additional information if you're seeking out advice from someone. Also, I think another wise thing to do is to look into your heart and listen to your own instincts, because many times people look outside of themselves for answers that they already have within. So, why not look within and determine, okay, this is what my gut tells me, blah, blah, blah. My gut told me blah, blah, blah early on. And, my gut test still telling me the same thing now. And, maybe that will help lead you to what you should do. You don't always have to seek out someone else's advice prior to making decisions, because at the end of the day, the decision is on you to make. And if doing all that is only going to confuse you or cause you harm in your personal life, perhaps, you shouldn't do that. I think that the internet and social media are not always the best sources for information. A lot of people go crazy with Google. Google's wonderful as far as getting you a lot of vast information. But at the end of the day, you have to be sure about what you're even looking at. Social media, you have, like I said, all these people on here there who are self-proclaimed experts. You are not going to hear me say that I'm an expert in something I'm not an expert in. I'm an expert in a couple of things. I have degrees and certifications in a couple of things because I'm an expert in those fields. If that's not the case, I'm not going to tell you that I'm some sort of a guru, because I'm not. I can give you my perspective. I can give you advice, but at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you to seek out other things to verify, including looking into your heart, and following your own instincts. So, if someone's telling you to do something that goes against what your instincts were telling you, it's questionable. That's what I'm saying. You have to question things and not just, go with whoever. I think the best people to get relationship advice from, my relationship goals are not these celebrities, y'all. It's not celebrities. It's not people who are popping on social media. It's not people around me. The people who are my relationship goals, really and truly, are people you have never heard of. You don't know their name, because it's the cute little elderly couple who, when I go over and talk to them, they said they're in their 70s. They've been married for 35 years happily. And when I ask them questions, they give me, the whole truth. That's who I'm more likely to listen to. I'm going to listen to a therapist, especially if it's like a marriage counselor or some other type of therapist who has been married again for like 25, 30, 35 years. Someone who's been married for decades upon decades happily to the same person. Because you might actually be able to give me some advice I could use, because you're out here living it and you're not doing it to profit financially, So that's what I think about that. I'm tired of these, self-proclaimed relationship gurus. It's getting embarrassing. It's very ghetto out here. This advice that they're giving is not it. They're definitely leading people astray. I'm sure there are quite a few people who have been running around, spouting off the advice that these people have given. And now they feel very silly because they messed up their own lives, messed up their own relationships because they were following a facade. Stop sweating down these people you don't really know. Y'all don't want to support your own family and friends and associates, people you met in real life, but you want to support some person who is lying to you, who you don't know a thing about. It doesn't make any sense. So, just in the future, you instead of supporting all these people with their mess, really question things, look deeper and find legitimate resources, like, educated, licensed professionals. And people have been living, a certain lifestyle with their spouse for a plethora of years. Um, yeah, and if they're out here on social media, or whatever, trying to make a profit from a relationship and spouting off about it, you really have a lot to question. So consider that in the future. Thank you for watching this video. Of course, subscribe, like, share, and let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you want to see more videos such as this, and I'll talk to you next time.